Hey there, I'm Drew, and today on our Aspiring Entrepreneur series, I'll be chatting with Fhoel about his time as an intern at Sawyer Island Consulting. We talk about the work he did there, the lessons he took from it, and what advice he would give to young people. Can you talk about how you found out about Sawyer and how you sort of got into the internship originally?
Yeah, so I had known Keith Canning for a while. I grew up just down the street from him. At the time, I was just finishing up my first year at Bowdoin College, and I was kind of exploring things to do for the summer, and I knew I was interested in kind of working with companies. I'd always been interested in entrepreneurship growing up. And so Keith had this kind of emerging opportunity that he was starting up at Sawyer, and it really worked out well for me to join the team during that summer and to get some exposure to some of the emerging businesses and startups that he was working with.
And what did you do when you were there as an intern?
Yeah, so I mean, as I think a lot of interns do, I kind of did a lot of different things, just helping kind of, it was a relatively small team the summer I was there. So I was mostly working with Christina, which is kind of Keith at the time, which was kind of Keith's number two, and helping her work with some of the companies. And one of the companies in particular that I mostly worked with was High Tide Holdings, which was one of their cannabis companies, one of their cannabis investments. And they were working through this state license application. And so aggregating materials for that was kind of, and distilling the complex regulatory outlook that was kind of emerging at the time in Maine was the bulk of my responsibility.
So, I mean, once you were going and kind of doing all these different things at the internship, like, was there anything surprising about it? Like, what was unique about the experience for you?
Yeah, I think probably the most unique thing was just that I was able to, work with founders and work with really experienced people in the field as a 19-year-old that I was at the time. And, just being able to be in these meetings with people much my senior was really amazing. It definitely kind of transformed how I think about a lot of different things. And so I think that was probably the most exciting thing that I got out of the internship was, just kind of jotting down little notes and meetings, hearing new concepts that I would go dig into further. Those were probably the most powerful things that I got out of it.
Was that challenging? I assume that for a lot of 19-year-olds, it would be, intimidating and sort of nerve-wracking to be in meetings like that. Like, what was that tough to do in some ways?
Yeah, I mean, certainly there were times when I definitely was nervous. And yeah, I mean, I can think of meetings in particular that I got, nervous. But I think that just speaks to the team that Sawyer Island has created, that I could be in those meetings and that they were kind of trusting me to represent the firm in a good light. And then also, coaching me throughout the first few weeks to make sure that I, felt assured enough to be able to participate and really contribute in meaningful ways. And I think there is certainly a value of having both people that are really experienced in something, but then also people that are kind of asking questions. And so I was often, pushed to ask those questions in various meetings and help think about problems in a new way.
What are some of the ways, I mean, you're saying that it kind of helped you think about things differently. Like, what are some examples of just the effect that had on you?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I really enjoyed was working with small companies. And like I said, I was always interested in entrepreneurship and business growing up. I'd started a small landscaping company in my neighborhood, and so I was really, really interested in kind of starting a business. And so I think for me, just I don't know if there's really one specific example of kind of a meeting that really shaped my thinking, but more so just kind of interacting with founders and seeing their passion for their businesses certainly encouraged me to continue thinking about my own entrepreneurial passions. And so, yeah, I would say it was more kind of this augmentation of my own interest in business certainly kind of increased throughout the summer.
What was your favorite part of the internship?
Yeah, I think, a great part of it was just getting to know the people, Christina, and then working more closely with Keith. I had known Keith for a while, but learning and getting to know him in a more professional environment was obviously different, and kind of seeing a new side to him was really interesting. And so, yeah, I think my favorite part was just being able to get that exposure at that young age, and was just given responsibility and trusted with materials that were actually going to be really impactful for some of the investments that the company had made.
Was there a specific project or something you worked on as an intern that you remember fondly, or maybe you just remember learning a lot from the experience?
Yeah. Yeah. So kind of the project I worked on throughout the entire summer was this state license application for one of their largest investment in the cannabis industry. There was kind of this emerging regulatory framework around it. The state of Maine had produced a lot of different regulation towards it. And so being able to read those regulations and kind of distill them and then report out to the team was a key responsibility of mine, and something I really learned a lot. Just being able to kind of read through something and being able to say, okay, this is going to have impacts on our business. Maybe let's change how we do this operating procedure. And that happened frequently. And so it was being able to look at the regulations and then being able to implement it in practice and make sure that the companies and the investments that Sawyer Island was making were following these regulations. Yeah, so that was really the project that I was working on, and being able to present things to the group that people, like I said, people really needed to hear, was really good for me, just to present in a professional environment, having to kind of actually have a deliverable, which is something I'll have for probably the rest of my life, right? And so being able to have these deliverables that you need to give to the team is something that I really valued.
Were there things that kind of happened to you or changed while you were there that you noticed because of these experiences? Like just hearing you talk about making presentations and being part of meetings, I guess, the obvious thing that someone might say is that they just gained some confidence or just some comfort in being in environments like that. Like what changes did you notice while you were there?
Yeah, I mean, I think the confidence was probably the biggest. Was just being able to trust in the work, to trust that I was doing good work was probably the biggest thing that I gained. I don't think there was kind of one specific topic that I really felt enthralled by going through there. I think I think it was more just being able to kind of work as a team, and understanding how to both deliver something for somebody else, but then also being able to ask for help from a team member that's been there longer than you, and is far more knowledgeable about a specific topic, and then being able to kind of implement that into your own work and then learning from them, and so that you maybe don't make the same mistakes again, or you're just continuing to evolve as a team member, as a person.
What impact has this had, this internship, on your career since then? And either in a direct way or maybe just, making you realize what you want to do? Like what effect has it had?
Yeah, so I think it's definitely had an impact on just being able to kind of have an internship that was after my first year at college, that I could then speak to, and again, being able to tell future employers or future interviewers, look, these are the kinds of things I learned. This is how I evolved throughout this summer, and this is why I'm a good candidate to be on your team. And so I think from that standpoint, it's certainly helped. And then, as I said, I've always been interested in kind of working with small companies, emerging innovative companies in emerging markets, I should say. So that's something I did last summer, and I worked another internship this summer of 2020 and kind of through the school year as well. Again, working with smaller companies and being able to learn about sectors or subsectors that were emerging. And so again, I think the impact that Sawyer Island had was being able to pursue those future opportunities because I had this baseline that I could really speak to.
Is there any specific advice that you would give someone who's going to do an internship at Sawyer, or maybe just any other company, like after going through it yourself? What would you tell someone who's about to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I like I've said, kind of one of the things I really enjoyed throughout the internship was just jotting down small things that I would hear in meetings. And then if I didn't understand those concepts, then going and really diving into those so that I could understand, so that in future meetings I could actually contribute when we were having those discussions. And that's something I think is really important to do both at Sawyer, but then that I continue to do more broadly, is just being able to understand kind of key components that you need to learn and then go learn them. And also especially at Sawyer, working with other members of the team, working with Keith as well, and just making sure that if you're not understanding something, that you voice that to them, and because they can certainly find the resources to help you. And then I think, especially, or at least my summer at Sawyer was, it was kind of, it wasn't a lot. There was certainly direction, but it was also you kind of had to take your own initiative, and I think that's said a lot, but I think it's really true at Sawyer, and they want you to take that initiative.